TIFU by repeating my wife's words to her years later.
Been with my wife for about 5 years, / 4 years dating, 1 year married. Around 2 years into our relationship, she ended up pregnant, accidentally, and she made the decision to terminate the pregnancy. We were heartbroken. I tried to convince her not to. We had discussed the what if it happens many times, and never was the option for termination brought up, so I was especially caught off guard by the 180 turn. Her logic was it's just a bunch of cells now. After the procedure, our relationship was quite rocky for about 6 months, lots of fights that devolved to discussions that I'm not proud of. Fast forward to our relationship now, it's perfect. We don't talk about that event, even in occasional arguments we have, never gets brought up. We're happily married now, drink significantly less, etc. About 5 weeks, we found out she's pregnant again. We were both ecstatic, excited to start a family, choosing names for our child. We were over the moon with happiness until she lost it last week. It was awful, to put it lightly. We both cried a lot. She's extremely emotional still and mostly spends the days lying in bed watching Netflix. Took the last week off work, and is disinterested in any of her usual activities. A couple days ago, I tried to use her argument to help her feel less guilt / sadness. Baby, it was just a bunch of cells when we lost them. We'll keep trying and it will happen. Apparently this was the exact wrong thing to say because she was crying right away, yelled at me to leave the room, and hasn't given me more than one-word answers since. Been looking online at ways to help your so cope with loss to try to right the situation ever since.
TLDR / wife, when we were dating, told me it's just a bunch of cells when she made decision first time. / relationship suffered for some time, repaired, ended up getting married. / lost our baby early into pregnancy recently and I repeated her words to her, it's just a bunch of cells. / wife became very emotional, is non-responsive to me over the last few days.
I'm not sure this will be helpful, but here is some possible insight. Miscarriage is a terrible loss. Especially when your body is flooded with all the hormones. It's easy to question if you did something wrong. If you are worthy. If this is karma because you had an abortion years ago. If you will be able to carry a child. If you should even try again. If you could go through this loss again. There are just so many things that can go through your mind. It's possible the cell comment triggered more thoughts around the abortion. Getting an abortion is a hard choice to make and it sounds like she has to defend that choice for a while. Now she has had 2 negative experiences with pregnancy. Be kind, patient, and surround her with love. Mainly let her work through all the thoughts in her head. There isn't going to be a right thing to say and most things might be the wrong thing to say. She is having an abundance of emotions right now.
It sounds like the two of you never resolved your disagreement over her choice to abort, but that's been swept under the rug for the sake of keeping the peace. That would feed any feelings of guilt or karma. And using her exact words could be perceived as a gotcha in the context of that whole disagreement.
Sorry for your loss. We also experienced a miscarriage this week, and it's not easy. I would just apologize. People grieve in different ways. Personally, there is nothing my partner can say that will make me feel better. I just want them to be there for me. I would just tell her you will be there for her, ask if you can order in food or if there's anything she needs. Again, so sorry for your loss.
Fast forward to our relationship now. It's perfect. We don't talk about that event. Even in occasional arguments we have. Never gets brought up. Sounds like an unresolved issue to me though. You might want to fix that before having kids. Mainly for the sake of future kids.
Wrong time. That's all. Say you sorry. Many ways. Many times. P.S. Sorry for your loss.
I am so sorry, man. You should apologize. But you're doing the right thing by looking into ways to be there. But I'm sure she knows what she wants from you. If it's space to be alone, it's space to be alone. If she prefers you being there, be there. Keep communicating and let her grieve. No amount of words that make sense to you are going to make it better. She has to experience and grieve. The source of this suggestion comes from my mom, who, when I was 4, miscarried, and it's a story I remember well. My dad rented Happy Gilmore when it had come out on VHS and just stayed with her one day. And that comfort and ridiculousness helped her feel alive again, and she began moving forward. Sorry for what you're going through. It can't be easy for you either. I hope everything works out for you, my friend. I saw your attempt at what she thought years ago would help. But unfortunately she was hopeful for this one to go through. 2 different mindsets. I do see what you were trying to do. And it was a different result. Also, 5 weeks has an extremely emotional toll on the body. An honest miscommunication, and try to say that. Maybe give her a foot rub and her favorite food. Hey up. So I think what you aren't understanding is what she is mourning. Ultimately, she knows that it was a clump of cells. She's not mourning a living being. She's mourning a potential. She rationally knows it was early and that this happens a lot. But she was excited and started building up ideas in her head. I have a lot of pregnant friends right now, and I always tell them, be excited that you got this far. But do not plan. I know this is a sad take. But I've seen so many miscarriages in the first trimester. So many. It's better to be cautiously optimistic in the beginning. The reality is this is a different time. There was an idea of a baby this time. And the first time there was not. You did say the wrong thing. But it's forgivable. I hope this helps you understand why it was the wrong thing. Sorry man. That's an extremely sad story. I totally get where you were coming from. But this issue isn't a rational one. Her emotions are completely out of whack from the loss and the hormones. You can't use reason or logic to bring someone out of a mood like that. All you can do is be there for them and be supportive. Don't forget that although you didn't personally miscarry, you've still lost a child. Be aware of your own mental health through this. I know this doesn't necessarily help you with this specific FU, but it's still something you need to think about. One of those things that sounds better in your head than when it comes out your mouth. It probably sounded like you were using the abortion decision to show her that she could have had a child already if she didn't waste that opportunity. Well, I'm sure this comment section is going to be kind, civil, and nothing but conciliatory. The following is my opinion and may not apply to your situation. The months ahead have the potential to define your relationship. Your wife needs you to be strong. My husband and I are childless. Doctors told us we would never conceive. So we decided to love our life and be content. But in my mid-40s, a positive pregnancy test kicked our entire world off its axis. I miscarried our daughter at the end of the first trimester. And I can only describe what followed as trauma. I kept seeing the blood in my mind. Thinking how I'd flushed my daughter down an apartment toilet. Couldn't even afford a home with a bathroom of my own because I was a poor excuse of an adult. How she must have known I'd be a terrible mom. So she chose death. I slathered on self-loathing like butter. I injured myself in profound ways. About 8 weeks after my miscarriage, I caught a glimpse of myself in the bathroom mirror and was stunned at the change. Just a frail and pale shadow. My husband. My scared and sad and incredible husband. Set his grief on a shelf to let it wait. While he cared for me, at times literally holding me upright while I screamed and sobbed and raged. And now, almost a year later, I'm better. I look at my husband sometimes when he's not paying attention. And I feel such pride and gratitude for this man who shouldered the worst season of my life. Be strong. Your wife needs you. I just don't know. I don't think attempts to put an emotional situation into logical perspective ever pan out. Probably a sincere apology is due. Beginning with, "I'm heartbroken." 2. "I think I was trying to convince myself it wasn't a big deal. As a way of dealing with it. It was wrong. I'm sorry. This is sad. I'm sorry y'all had to go through this. My mom had 3 prior and all I can say is therapy. Therapy, therapy, therapy. You cannot solve all your wife's problems and another person to speak to for her. And you if you feel it would be beneficial. Hopefully she enters with an open mind and it can be everlasting beneficial." The thing is that her use of the phrase 5 years ago was wrong. Not her right or autonomy of her body, but to be flippant about something that certainly was negatively impacting you. And now you were wrong for using the phrase this time. The spectrum of how people deal with first trimester pregnancy loss is all over the place. Just keep being there and available for support. That's all you can and all you need to do. Hey up, doctor here and also brother to my amazing sister who had 6 miscarriages before finally having her beautiful little boy because she had undiagnosed antiphospholipid syndrome, a clotting disorder, and she had many false negatives so we couldn't figure it out. I am not a husband, nor a father, but being involved through all those miscarriages and feeling the whirlwind of emotions not just from my sister but also my brother-in-law, who is a superstar dad and husband. The best advice that I could give to anyone going through this is for the husband to be ever present for her. Physiology and hormones aside, she is reeling from loss, and when they say misery loves company, it's not true in this case. She will feel depressed and alone and want to dig a hole and lay in it alone at times too. I'm not saying to invade her space and physically snuggle with her all the time when she doesn't want it, but be ever present so she knows that she isn't alone and that you will never ever leave even when she is being mean or rude or at her worst. Leave little snacks and treats outside the door. Drop a bunch of flowers in without saying anything or asking for recognition for it. Text all the time and let her know what you're doing and you're thinking about her all the time. Even if she pushes you away, don't push back but just stand where she pushed and keep reminding her that she isn't alone. Yes, you said something that made her feel negative, but that doesn't trump years and years of an amazing relationship, and when she's over that hill, she will realize that too. But do not give up on her, no matter what happens. You are the person she trusts and loves most in the world, and you have to be there for her during these trying times. It will drain you emotionally, physically and psychologically, so make sure you open up to other friends and seek support outside of this. Find that energy and strength from others and from yourself to give to her, because she desperately needs to know that she is loved and that she's going to make it and that you both are going to make it. And I hope you have 26,382,728,373 children and she looks back in 20 years and goes, FML, these balls of cells won't stop ruining my life. Big love, bud. I've been through this with my wife. Lost our first pregnancy at 8 weeks. Here are some insights I learned that helped me navigate it, both personally and in supporting my wife. 1. As the man, you only experienced the pregnancy part-time. She lived it 24/7. Forget just the hormones. She had a physical and emotional bond that occupied her body and mind every moment of the day. It only makes sense that she will take it harder than you. My wife didn't understand how I was coping so well with the loss until I pointed this out. As men, we're trying our best, but it's hard to understand what they're experiencing. And sometimes we say stupid stuff, grasping for anything to say that will help. 2. While this is devastating, it really is not uncommon. In fact, about 20% of known pregnancies end in miscarriage. But it's actually closer to 35% when you include unknown pregnancies that end in miscarriage. And honestly, that's still a miracle. The vast majority of miscarriages are due to genetic defects which would result in a child that may not even survive birth. When you consider the chance for a single defect when two cells have to divide and differentiate into literally trillions of cells, it's unfathomable. The fact that it works so well more than half of the time is almost unbelievable when you just look at the odds. For some people this means nothing. For me, it meant that it wasn't our fault. Just statistics and bad luck. 3. Thankfully for her, there is an unbelievably large and welcoming community of people who have experienced this and can empathize with her. And you. Again, it's not an uncommon experience. But it's important to grieve and to grieve with others. We, like many others, named our unborn child to give credence to what we experienced. 4. General marriage advice. Just be honest and say you're sorry. Ask her if you can tell her how you're feeling. Because I guarantee that deep down she wants to know you're hurting. 2. Remind each other that you are in this together and that together it will be easier to get through it. This has the power to bring you even closer. But only if you let it. Also, it's not your fault, either of you. So forgive yourself. 2. 5. Importantly, know that she is more fertile immediately after a miscarriage. We got pregnant 4 weeks later and now have a sweet almost 1-year-old boy. Also know that because of this experience, the next pregnancy will likely be a much less fun experience. You have to learn to work through the fear and anxiety. Also, while the rate of miscarriage is very high overall, 1/3, once you get past 20 weeks the risk of miscarriage is very low. 1/20th. You still will be a nervous wreck up to and even after they're born. Good luck to you both. I'm sorry for your loss. I'm sorry, Op. But it sounds like this was intentional. You don't get over a disagreement by sweeping it under the rug. Especially something as major as an abortion. Is it possible you were harboring this grudge all this time later? And used it as a gotcha moment? Basically a way of saying, oh, who says it's not a bunch of cells now? Reading between the lines, it really seems that you were feeling this way. Even if it's on a more subconscious level. Hey, I get what you were trying to do here. Hopefully. But if you disagreed with that sentiment in the past and argued with her over it on such a sensitive topic in a way that almost ended your relationship, now was absolutely not the time to bring that up. People are telling you that this isn't a logic situation, but I think know that miscarrying unwanted pregnancy and elective abortion are completely different situations with entirely separate emotional baggage. It's not unreasonable or inconsistent to react to them differently. What she may have heard from you instead of, we'll get through this, is, hey, remember that pregnancy you aborted that I wanted to keep and you said it wasn't a baby. And then we argued and almost broke up and I probably said some mean things to you about it that you definitely remember? Why are you so sad? It's not a baby, right? Remember? Quote. If I was you, and that last thing wasn't what I meant to say, I'd clarify ASAP. In your wife's situation, I would definitely see your words as a kick when I'm down. Sorry for your loss. Miscarriages are hard to deal with. I hope you'll allow yourself to grieve.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Aircast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.